Hello, welcome to my channel. This is a video on soloing, okay, and it's for players of sort of any range as long as you have a basic understanding of some scales and where some root notes are on your fretboard. Okay, so this lesson, I guess, will be in the key of A minor. So for more beginners, that's the 5th fret of your E string. Okay, that's your root note. So we're going to kind of try and do everything based around that position there. Okay, so now first off, the first concept here is the foundation. Music, there is no music intrinsically in any scale shapes. Okay. It's what you do with those scales. So if you're starting out and you're trying to improvise, you're trying to do a solo, it's okay to get your bearings by playing just scale shapes. Okay, so that's okay when you're learning and you're in your room and you're practicing or wherever you are practicing. That's great because that's going to, build muscle memory and dexterity and all that good stuff. But when you have when you have a good feel for that scale or for that key, then you want to start straying away from just the scale shapes and using those notes to play what you hear in your head. Okay, that's the most important thing. Play what you hear in your mind. The music is in your mind, not in the scale. And that's the first point right there. Music is in the mind, not in the scale, or how fast you play. Okay, and I know for some reason we guitarists like to turn everything into a speed competition. And that's okay too. It has its purposes. So, music is in the mind, so you want to take what's in your head and put it on the fretboard, and the way to do that is with scales and with theory and knowledge. Obviously, you just pick up a guitar, it'll take you a lot longer to play what's in your head if you have no understanding of how the guitar works, as opposed to if you have a basic understanding or an advanced understanding of how the instrument works. Okay, now the other thing I want to address is the idea of wrong notes. Okay, most people when they're learning scales, they'll be taught that any note that's outside of that scale shape is a wrong note. That ugly term, wrong. In music, very rarely do you ever come across anything that's technically wrong. Okay, and you should try to avoid thinking of things in this term. In this term. So, and I'm going to go through, hopefully try to convince you that really there are only a few wrong notes, but even then, those wrong notes have a purpose, or they can have a purpose in your soloing. Okay, and then you'll hopefully realize that actually your fretboard is a lot more free, and soloing is a lot more liberating rather than it being a restrictive experience by just staying inside one shape, one area of the fretboard. Okay, so let's go through this. So if we're playing in A minor, a lot of you will learn one scale to start off with, and that's your minor pentatonic. That's the bread and butter of most guitarists. And then you'll learn probably a altered version of that minor pentatonic scale, which is called the minor pentatonic blues scale. So let's go through the pentatonic scale. So in the key of A minor, which is at our 5th fret here, on our E string, we're going to go A, C, D, E, G. Okay, those are all the notes, and then obviously that G wants to resolve back to A. So you can see here we have A, C, D. We're going to skip the E flat because that's our blues note. So we have A, C, D, E, G, and then A. So now if you want to add that blues note, we go like this. A, C, D, E flat, right there, E, G. And then hopefully you'll also learn the second octave of that. Okay, so all in all we have this. Okay, it's kind of a cool sounding scale, there's nothing wrong with it, and there's nothing wrong with just soloing inside that scale when you're first learning. Okay, that's a great scale to have in your vocabulary, your musical vocabulary. Okay, so we have A, C, D, E flat, E, and G. Okay, now the next one we'll learn about, since we're in the key of A minor, we're going to learn the A minor, a natural minor scale. Okay, it can also be called the Aeolian Mode. Okay, so and the Aeolian mode, or the natural minor, goes basically like this. We have A, it's basically the alphabet up to G. Okay, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we go all the way back to A. Okay? Okay. So between the minor pentatonic with the blues note and the Aeolian mode, or the minor scale, the notes we've added are B and F. Okay, so B and F. Those ugly notes. Okay. Okay, next one is the Dorian mode, and I love this mode. This is a really great jazzy sounding mode that you can throw in. Guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan would often throw in a little bit of a flavor, a Dorian flavor to their pentatonic riffs. So that right there, that type of a Stevie Ray Vaughan sort of feel, that right there is kind of a Dorian feel, okay? Okay, so let's go over the Dorian mode in the key of A. So we have A, B, C, D, E, and then we have the F sharp, which will play at the 4th fret of the D string. So that's our F sharp, and that's the odd one out here. So we have F sharp, and then G, and then that resolves again to A. So now all these scales have a certain flavor to them, and when you get used to sort of understanding what these flavors are, then you can, in a split second, in improvising, you can say, okay, I want to kind of have a Dorian sort of lick in here, and then go into a Pentatonic Blues or a Mixolydian or whatever you want to. Okay, the next one is the Mixolydian. Okay, and this is more of a major mode, but a lot of times you can actually get away with throwing a little bit of Mixolydian into a minor blues setting. So we have Mixolydian in the key of A, and it goes like this. So we're going to start with our second finger this time on A, right here. Okay, so A, B, then we have C sharp right there, and that's our major third, which is why this is more of a major mode than it is a minor mode, because the minor third in the key of A is C, like that. Okay, so this is more of a major mode, but don't be afraid to try it. So A, B, C sharp, D, E, we have the F sharp again, F sharp, and then G, and then it resolves back to A. Okay, so between these four modes and scales, we have a whole bunch of notes that we can actually play, and only a few notes that, theoretically speaking, we shouldn't. Okay, so we have A, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, okay, F sharp, then we have G, and then technically we're not supposed to play the G sharp, but I don't have a problem with the G sharp. It's part of your melodic minor scale, which is kind of a nice scale, and likes to resolve back to the root, which is A. So we could throw that G sharp in there too. So G sharp, which would be right after here, and then we're back to A. And then the other note that we're technically not supposed to hit is B flat, which is right there. Okay, or right there. So as you can tell, theoretically speaking, in this context, we basically only have two notes that we shouldn't hit. Again, when we talk about this in terms of theory, these are notes that we shouldn't hit. However, even those notes can be used. Those notes can be used as passing notes. That means that you go through those notes very quickly to get to a scale tone or a chord tone or what have you.